Listen, I wanted to take a moment and try to address some of the feedback I got with the last video on sexual immorality. You know, the lie that we live in. Um, I was getting ready to go to have dinner and a movie at my son's house, my baby boy's house, and um, it's just bothering me. I guess I said some things that people weren't ready for. I even had a pastor say that he was going to have to lay prostrate before the Lord. But it's the truth. Some people just don't realize the truth. They look at the scriptures and we go to sanctuaries and we do the routine, but do we really pay attention to what it's saying? Do we study to show our own self approved? You can't get nothing out of the scriptures if you're not studying to show your own self approved, if you're not applying it to your life. There were some things that was said that I want to address, because my phone's on personal, because I've been cleaning my house, putting my house together. I still got boxes. I can't stand boxes. I'm OCD, and I know cardboard brings roaches and things like that, so I'm always rushing to get the boxes out when I move. And I'm down about 3 or 4 boxes, but I just had to sit down here because it was heavy on my heart and answer some of the text messages that I was getting about the sexual immorality. The next part is about the breastplate of righteousness. But like I say, I think I need to deal with this a little bit more. Someone was asking about soul ties. I did a whole series, a couple of series on soul ties. Just, go down my YouTube channel. But yes, sexual immorality can lead you into a soul tie. But you get into the soul tie before you have sexual intercourse. The soul tie, you can get, emotional. When you emotionally connected to somebody, that's infidelity. When a man is emotionally connected to another female other than his wife, or vice versa, the wife is emotionally connected to another man other than her husband. You get connected emotionally, and that's what draws you. Mostly, that's how you become aroused to even get into the sexual intercourse. So soul ties form before you even get in the bed. That's why we got to protect our spirit. We got to protect who we spend time with, because we could be creating a fall for our own self. You see it on TV because, TV likes to promote men all the time in this arena, where you have a man that's emotionally tied to another female. Maybe some men actually like to help single women, and, they get emotionally tied to them, and, that's that extra bed that they can go and lay in when they get ready. But, it's not gender specific. Women get emotionally tied to a man. They get emotionally tied to their boss, maybe, their girlfriend's husband or whatever. And that's, how the enemy, that's a breach. That's how the enemy tends to get into stuff, get into you and cause you to do things that's out of what you would normally do. Because like I say, you got to protect your spirit. Soul ties are real. It's just like an addiction. Once you get into the addiction and it takes over your spirit, it takes over your life, it's hard to get away from it. It's hard to break away from it. So soul ties can be toxic. There are fatal attractions. There are people who stalk people, because they're so in love with them, with their spirit. They're so on the inside of them. See, love is not something on the outside. Love is something that you experience on the inside of you. If you don't have love, that's because you don't have it on the inside of you. If you feel like someone is not loving you, that's because you're not receiving the love that they're giving or whatever they're giving. You may not know your love language, how you receive love. Like I say all the time, my love language is time. If people can't spend time with me, I'm not going to get them warm and fuzzy all on the inside and empty out my pocketbook. I'm just not going to do it. But in order to realize what love is, it has to be on the inside of you. Christ died for us. He lives on the inside of us. The Spirit of God lives on the inside of us. He is love. Love covers a multitude of sins. Love, draws. It doesn't repel. It doesn't point fingers. It doesn't judge. It doesn't come at you. It doesn't holler and scream and disrespect in your face. Love is all-knowing. Love is just, I can talk about love all day long because I see myself as a bundle of love, because I walk around and I love to make people's hearts smile. I wear my heart on my sleeve because it's not all about me. I walk around and make people's hearts smile. God can trust me with some things. He gives me some things because he knows that he can get it through me. So he gives it to me to get it through me to other people. So love is the difference in a lot of that stuff that's going on in the world. This sexual immorality, in the social media where men sleeping with women and women sleeping with youngsters, and all that's going on in social media. I don't know what's real and what's not. I do know a lot of it we wasn't even expecting. We could never imagine that was going on, especially in the music industry, especially in the church house, with the big mega churches or whatever. That's what I'm saying. You got to have a personal relationship with God. If you don't have a personal relationship with God, you're going to fall following any man or any woman. You got to know that you know what God stands for and what God means to you. That's why I say, I follow God. I'm a child of God. So I'm not going to get bamboozled by another individual as long as I'm keeping my head looking on Jesus. Like when Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, he kept his eyes focused on Jesus. He walked on the word. So when he walked on the word, that's when he kept his eyes on Jesus. The moment that he took his eyes off Jesus, that's when he started to sink. So I continue to keep my mind and my spirit connected to God because I don't want to be bamboozled. I don't want to be hoodwinked or led astray, as my apostle say. I don't want to be mistaken for a fool. The Bible talks about silly women. I'm not one of those silly women. I'm educated and I know it. That's the difference. Being educated and you just going byways and highways. But when you educated and you know it, you can do some things. You can damage some people. That's the same thing that Jezebel had. That's how she was able to get Ahab and get his power and seduce him to the point where he done walked away or turned away from his God because he was so fascinated with her. That's how Samson, he knew that woman didn't mean no good for him because she kept asking him, what's your strength? Where's your strength lie? He understood to where he just kept sleeping with her. She just kept seducing him and he just gave in. So love covers a multitude of sin, as I say. Love draws. Love doesn't point the finger. Love respects. So if you don't have love or you're not experiencing love, that means that you don't have love on the inside of you. Because the only way to recognize love is you got to have it. It's got to attach. Like attracts like. It's got to have something to attach to. Like I say, some people love through, they feel good with gifts. Somebody give me gifts, I'm gonna appreciate it. Yeah, that's not my top love language, but thank you, much obliged. But that's not how I receive. When you give people love or you treat people with love in their love language, you get to open them up more. They just feel receptive. It's like that aha moment. It makes them feel so good inside. The hormone is called dopamine. It charges dopamine, runs all through your body and through your veins to where it's like a pleasure principle. And it makes you feel all good, warm and fuzzy inside. And when you get somebody operating in that all the time, you never know what you may find out. They got to have their loins girded about with truth. They got to have, they self-control, because when you treating people in their love language and you got the dopamine going on in their body, they're all excited. You never know what you're going to get out of somebody. So it pays to treat people with kindness. It pays to, honor people, to celebrate people. Not just do what you want to do because you're selfish to get what you want to get. Just living on people and, oppressing people. That's not how the world works. I'm going to say that's not how the world's supposed to work. Not in God's design. So when you lay down with somebody, yes, you can have soul ties. But like I say, soul ties begin on an emotional level. They begin before you get into bed. I want to say sexual intercourse probably just seals the deal. Because, if the man projects into the female, it's going to change her molecular structure. And that's another question that was asked, about rubbers and latex. Some people are allergic to that plastic and that latex and that rubber. And, I learned the other day that there's more than one type of condom. I didn't know that they come in different, elasticities, or maybe like sheepskin or what. I didn't know they come, because I don't even be bothered with all that type of stuff. So I guess you learn something new every day. But I learned that they come in more than just latex. And I also learned that the latex is the most durable. But the problem with that is don't nobody want to feel something fake. I mean, if you're a woman that's investing, if you're a woman that is putting her all into a man or a woman nowadays, if you're a person that's putting your all into somebody, you don't want nothing fake. If I can't trust you enough to be with you, then I don't need to be with you. Not in that capacity. Because like I said before, sexual immorality can cost you your soul, first of all. And having sexual intercourse can potentially cost you your life. There are STIs, there are STDs, I call them STIs, sexually transmitted infections or sexually transmitted diseases that come and they don't go away. There's no cure for them. And then you passing on that to somebody else. If the sexually transmitted disease doesn't cure you, they will. They may. Because when they find out what you've done, how you violated them, they may lose it. They may snap. I tell you, mental illness is real. I'm talking in my profession now. So why place yourself in a position to do that? Latex ain't all that. It's not perfect. There are some pinholes. There are some people who do certain things. I've heard of people, there was a situation, an article in a manufacturing company where they was putting pinholes. They was poking them with needles as they was going through the assembly line or whatever. And, it's like the people that was sending cyanide in the mailbox. There are some people that get off on hurting other people because they're miserable and they don't know how to do anything else. Or that's just, bad attention is better than no attention at all. That's how that is. So latex ain't perfect. Ain't nothing perfect on this earth. but Christ. The Spirit of God is the only thing that's perfect. So when you want to run around and use tools and things like that to be with a person, to me, that's a violation. Because if you don't trust me enough to be naked and not ashamed, then you don't need to be with me. First of all, I'm not a type of woman that gonna allow a man to be with me and be with 50 other females or be with one other female. Because like I say, spirits transfer. I don't want her spirit to transfer into me. I don't want none of that. I don't want a legion of demons. I want privacy. I want seclusion. I want, to be moral. It's not good to treat woman like a piece of meat, like you can just release and go on about your business, and then next time you see it, she's supposed to be all lovey-dovey. No. She's the one. If she's not the one, leave her alone. Yeah, there are those, like I say, silly women in the Bible who like that because they haven't done the work and they don't know no better. They don't have that self-discipline. Maybe they haven't poured into themselves. Maybe they haven't educated themselves to the point where they found their purpose and what they want to do in life. And maybe they are devastated and they just want to be with a man regardless. There's that era that women was raised to where if you didn't have a man by a certain age, that something was wrong with you. Or if you didn't have a child, or by something was wrong with you. But we're not living in those times anymore. God made male and female in his image. And if we are to serve God and what he has for our life, we not on nobody else's timeline. So only what we do for Christ is going to last. So if we running around trying to get with a man and that's not in the cards for us in God's timeline, maybe he wants us to do something else, then we are out of the will. We may be walking in his permissive will. But, we can only gain the treasure by tending the field that God gives us. Whatever the field is, whatever gifts that he placed on the inside of you before the foundations of the world, at creation, before he placed you in your mother's womb, he wants to use those gifts for his glory. And like I say, the gifts come without repentance. There's a whole bunch of gifts in the world, and they're using them not to glorify God, but maybe to make money or, to glorify themselves or whatever it may be. But if they use their gifts to glorify God, their lives would be better. Like, there are people that have to be delivered. That's the question. Saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost, yes. But have you been delivered? If you lay down with somebody that has not been delivered, you are going to take on every demon, every demonic force that they have. I think I said this yesterday. If they are not delivered, they're not going to be at peace. That's a sign of deliverance. And I ain't talking about that at peace for a moment. They're going to be at peace. They ain't going to be hustling. I went through a season where, like I say, I moved 3 times in a year's time because, stuff just kept falling off of me. I wasn't getting paid what I needed to be paid. I ain't going to go into all of that. But I had to move 3 times within a year, and stuff just kept falling off of me to the point where now I'm in my apartment. I love my apartment. It's big enough for me. It's perfect for me. I'm putting it together. There are people who live life every day in hustle mode, in survival mode. That's not peace. That's not how God intended for us to live. You know, you can't live life robbing Peter to pay Paul. There's no peace in that. Like I said, I lived in that 3-bedroom house peacefully. That's how I know God had it for me. I didn't have to borrow from this one or take from that one. Everything just flowed because I had enough provision at the time. Like, you know, now I have enough provision for this apartment. So I don't have to, you know, duck and dodge and, you know, try to get this and hustle that and all that. That reminds me, somebody said that my countenance had changed. Now, I can understand that. I can understand what they were talking about because, yeah, I don't feel like I'm running around with a heart attack anymore. You know, trying to make sure this is taken care of, that is taken care of. You know, my bills are paid up to where I can breathe, to where I can do something for myself or spend time with my children or, you know, like last night or whatever. We couldn't find nothing to eat. I hadn't gone to the grocery store. First of all, I hadn't cleaned out my freezer. So to even go to the grocery store to put nothing in it. And I had nothing in the house to eat. Well, that I wanted to eat anyway. I wanted a full course meal. And I just decided to get up and take my children to Golden Corral. You know, because we couldn't figure out what we wanted to eat. One wanted fish, one wanted Chinese, one wanted meatloaf, you know, all that kind of thing. So we got up, it was about 9, 10 o'clock, got my daughter, and we went to Golden Corral. I learned that it was pretty much empty. That's probably by the time I go again or whatever, because normally that place is packed. But we went there, and the weekend special fee, $18 a head. You know, before I couldn't do that. But now I live in a space where I can do that. I can afford that. I can just get up and go feed my children and feed myself. You know, $18 a head. So that's when you have peace. That's when you are living the life that God calls you to live. You know, when you're living with provision. You're not thinking that, you know, or fearing that you're going to be living on the street or this is going, or you filing bankruptcy or whatever like that. When you live the way God intended for you to live, and you're not so grandiose, and you're not trying to be something that you're not, and you're not so consumed or worried about what people think about you or what people gonna say about you, you're able to live comfortably. You know, people that are grandiose got to have the big. They got to have, you know, the extra. You know, that extra costs. And sometimes that extra leads you to have all kind of health conditions and heart attacks and all of that, trying to keep up with all that type of stuff. So, looking for a man with the extra, like I said yesterday, somebody got to clean. Somebody got to maintain that extra. If he got all that extra, he gonna need you to dust. He gonna need you to clean some toilets. In them big old houses, they got more than one. If you're not a female that's willing to do all of that, why are you wasting your time? I got too much on my plate. This space here is just enough for me. It's not saying that I won't clean or I don't cook or stuff like that. I'm OCD. That's one thing I do is clean. But the fact that I have OCD, I do it to a point where it's mental. I can clean a mirror to the point where I can rub the mirror a hole in it, just if I can't get a fingerprint off of it. You know, and somebody that has a house or a large space like that, I'll be forever cleaning. Forever cleaning. That's why I don't mind being by myself, because I know if I ain't touch it, it ain't dirty. I can sit in my space and enjoy my space. Now, when my daughter's home, I'm always on her. Pick up this, clean up behind yourself, do this, do that. Because, you know, these kids, they get to running and living life and they throw stuff, oh, I get it when I get back. No, if you pick it up now, you ain't got to clean. So I'm always after her like that. But for the most part, she got her own life. Like I said, my boys, when I go over to my son's house, no, they don't keep the house clean like mama like it clean, but that's their space. And I can live in that because that's their space. I just go to visit. I go and they got me a clean space and I sit in my clean space. I enjoy my children and then I go home. They live how they want to live. I raised them right. I trained them up in the way that they should go. So they choose to live that way. That's how they live or whatever. As long as I ain't bringing nothing home with me, I'm fine. So I don't like living in something that, mentally is going to be overwhelming for me. So, and I was telling my son the other day, I'm not one to need a whole bunch of space. He was complaining about my room because I have an Eastern king size bed. He was complaining that there wasn't going to be enough space to walk between my dresser and the bed. And I said, I don't need that much space. I just need, me, enough space for me to get through. And they kept telling, well, you can't put the freezer here because you ain't gonna have enough space to go here and all that. And then I just had to break it down to them. I don't need that much space. If somebody wants to break in here and try to come and get me or Brianna or whatever. Now, Brianna, I'm kind of worried about because her room is right by the door. At least they would make enough noise to where I could hear and be able to get up and get to her or whatever. But if somebody's trying to come in here on me, they would have to go through an obstacle course to get to me because there's not a lot of space that you can move around in, that you can maneuver or whatever. You'd have to strategically know how to get to me. And if you get to me, you ain't going to be able to get to me fast. By the time you got to me, I got something for you. I used to be a security guard at the Army ammunition base. Armed security guard. I'm just going to say it like that. But so having your loins girded about with truth is really important. It is knowing that sexual intercourse is marriage. You really don't have to go spend all the money, all the accolades, buy the dress. Because if you are sleeping with someone, having sexual intercourse with someone, in God's design, you are married. You are intertwining spirits. You are transferring spirits, I want to say. You are engaging in the spiritual dimension. You are engaging in spiritual warfare because everything in his lineage is being projected into you if you're a female. Well, again, nowadays, everything that the man is projecting into, be it male or female, you are passing through. And that's another thing. Women of stature, women who know their worth, understand that they don't want a man that wants to go sleep with other men. That don't make no sense to them. It don't make no sense in general. But for example, an insecure woman, if she's worried about you being with a man or being with another woman all the time, because she ain't personally developed herself or whatever, that would drive her crazy if she got to worry about you being with one of the boys too, or maybe all the boys. Women don't like that. And I've heard so many women find out that their man was down low and it destroyed their, that's a violation that you never expect that would come. That's immorality on a whole nother level. When a man cheats on a woman, that hurts her core, her soul. And when he cheats on a woman, with another man, that's devastating. Don't no woman want to be with no man that love doing that. So, and then the biological fact is, we were taught to wipe from front to back. Some of y'all will get that at the end of the video. Like I say, women, it's disgusting. It really is, to think about it. I can't think about my man being with another man. Fact of the matter is, I can't think about my man being with another woman. But if I had a choice, it wouldn't be with another man. It's just disgusting to me. I mean, physically, it makes me ill. I was watching a picture one day, and they had that type of gender on there, two men, and they showed them kissing. And instantly, I wanted to vomit. So it's not something that I just think. It's something that I know. Scripture says it like this: if you're lukewarm, I will spew you out my mouth. Now, I understand that hurts some people's hearts and some people's feelings. It's not something I do intentionally. So when I see it about to come on, I look the other way. You know, I try to be respectful. I just look the other way. Doesn't mean that I'm against it. You know, free will, to each his own. Do what you want to do. That's how you roll. You roll. But I'm not condoning it. And I'm not rejecting it. Because you can't draw what you're rejecting. You can't love and point fingers at the same time. Because you'll hurt people. And when you hurt people, they're not coming to Christ. So Bible thumping them upside the head ain't going to do you no good. Just turn your head if it's bothering you. Because it is their free will. I'm sure you got things that you do that maybe they don't like. And it's your free will. So, live the word. Don't go around Bible thumping and speaking the word and pointing fingers at them. Live the word. That's your greatest testimony. That's your greatest evangelism, is living the word. You ain't got to say nothing to them, but if you live in the word, that word gonna convict anyway. So, make sure you're walking in obedience yourself before you start pointing fingers. Like I say, we talking about soul ties, sexual immorality and soul ties. You know, there are some tall, dark, and handsome. Love it. The Denzel Washington. It was just something about that walk. Loved it. The way that he walked. Tall, dark, and handsome. Or whatever. And then there's something about that deep voice. It just resonates with you. You got to be careful of these things if, you know, you like hearing those type of things, because they put all that on you. You never know. You be done found yourself in a soul tie or whatever. There's this one, like I say, like the gifts come without repentance. In the spirit. Can do something in the spirit that I don't care what I'm doing. It's naturally going to touch my soul. Sometimes I just have to get up and walk away, because I don't want to sit in that environment. And it ain't the environment to be, you know, aroused anyway. But there are certain people who know how to get to other people in the spirit. Or let me say it like this. There are certain people who get to other people in the spirit and they don't know that they do it. They're not aware that they touch their soul. by the gifts, because God placed the gifts in them, and your soul belongs to God. So when they're operating in their gift, the Spirit bears witness, and there's an awareness. That's all I'm going to say about that. They don't know because they're so intimidated or whatever, I guess. They don't realize that the thing that they're trying to figure out, they already doing, but they just not aware. Because solid women ain't silly women. We may experience something and you not even know it, because we know how to keep our face or our countenance the same. Because why would I let you know something about me if it's not going to benefit me? If it's not going to be of any value or long term? Or if I know that you ain't going to do nothing but potentially take it and use me, come against me. I'm trying to tell you, educated women, they know some stuff. So I want to talk about that 50 Shades of Grey. You know, it's a love story if you're looking at it for the right reason. Some people just get it because they want to see the whips and chains and all the sexual immorality and everything that goes on. But it's a love story. It's like Beauty and the Beast. It's one of my favorite love stories. How love drew him to her. Out of all his demons and demonic, he was corporate America. But on the inside, he was a man fighting for, fighting against himself, fighting, within himself. He had all this other things going on, a legion of demons. He had all of this pain and stuff on the inside, this trauma and stuff on the inside that he was living with. And little old her, she was boring, I guess, looking for passion and purpose, and she fell in love with him. And then you have all the scenes of the sex and the whips and the chains and all that kind of stuff. Stuff like that happens in real life. Maybe not to that extent. As a mental health therapist, I understand mental illness. I understand diagnosis. I understand the ones, within my family and those that are outside my family. Like I say all the time, I pick and choose my battles. I understand mental illness in my friends. I understand when to say something and when not to say nothing. I understand that some of them, they enjoy doing what they're doing. So 50 Shades of Grey ain't all about just sex. It's all about encompassing the whole being. That's spiritual, mental, physical, emotional. Another love story, and one of my favorites, is Good Deeds. The rough girl, corporate America. He was just bored with life, the same, unpredictable. Don't nobody want no unpredictable man. Don't nobody, no female want no boring man, just like don't no man want no boring woman. A man want a woman with a little freak in her, My grandfather always used to say, you can't change a whore into a housewife. And I beg to differ. You got to change the whore. So once you change the whore, she gonna remember what she was into. But when you get her heart to go for one man, he'll reap the benefits. Good Deeds was a beautiful love story. At the end, he got what he wanted. He decided to change his mentality because he fell in love with the rough girl or whatever. The girl, that was not in his economic status, but she made him feel alive. Corporate America sits there and try to be so grandiose, and they so worried about what people think and what people saying about them, to the point most of the time they find themselves and their name in the street in a negative way, because they find themselves acting out in ways that they wouldn't normally act out. They find themselves doing things in arenas that they shouldn't do. And people go and talk. It gets, from the west to the north, all over the place. And all they're doing is attention seeking. They're trying to find love in the wrong places. Some say they love themselves. But if you love yourself, you're not going to do nothing that's going to harm yourself. You're not going to do anything that could potentially kill you or make you look bad. They're lashing out in a different way. But like I say, Good Deeds is a beautiful story. I love the ending because he got what he needed. He got tired of having a boring life. Got tired of living a life that he didn't even want to be the owner or the person that took over the company. He didn't want to do all that. He was living a life that his mother needed him to live. And he got to be able to live a life that he wanted and be happy and enjoy. Some men too busy cutting down women and talking about women and belittling women to the point where they're killing themselves, because the very thing that they see in that woman, they need for themselves. And rather than accepting her and engaging with her and valuing her, they would rather belittle her because they don't understand what makes her tick, what arouses her, what makes her, how she moves. So, with some in sexual immorality, we won't say the loins girded about with truth, is some see what they want, but they don't know how to get it. Don't nobody want to continue to keep looking and searching for someone to have sex with. I mean, it'd be fun for the moment, maybe chemicals or whatever involved, the arousal or whatever, but people get tired of looking for somebody to be that intimate or that vulnerable or that comfortable with, to have sex with them, intercourse. So when they would rather have somebody that, a ride or fly, I want to say. Somebody that they can trust, that they can be with, that they can, handle. A woman that they can lay their head on her breast or in her lap and feel safe. Men have to feel safe. If they don't feel safe, if they don't feel that they can trust you, you ain't going to get much out of a man other than that. He'll project and keep moving on. But a woman of value, a woman of her worth, a man knows that he can leave his valuables in her possession And she's not going to do anything that's going to discredit him, take him down. She's not going to do anything that's going to violate him. But at the same time, if that man hollers and screams and discredits her, she won't be around. I think that's pretty much it. I think that pretty much answered all the questions that I received on all the feedback, the text messages on sexual immorality, soul ties. The biggest thing is make sure they're delivered. Whoever you are sleeping with, let me put it correctly. Whoever you are having sexual intercourse with, make sure they have been delivered. Because you're not just sleeping with that individual. You are sleeping with their demons, with their spirits, and all that comes with them. And some of these men in corporate America come with a lot. You don't know what they've done to other people. You don't know how many rights or how many wrongs they have to make right. When you lay down your life with another individual in that capacity, you got to be ready to be receptive of everything that comes with it. Just like a man knows that if he lays down with a woman, I'm talking about a real man. I ain't talking about one in the playground who just want to get hit it and quit it. I'm talking about a real man, a man of God. When he understands that when he lays down with a woman and she has children, he takes the whole package. He don't separate her from her children, be it they in the house or they grown. He understands that she is a mother. He respects her as he respects his own mother. And that's a big clue. If he doesn't respect his mother, leave him alone. He ain't worthy for you to be laying down with. Because any man that don't respect the womb that he came out of, he got some serious demons. So be with somebody that's going to accept the whole package, be it male or female. If that woman don't accept you and all of you, leave her alone, because all she want to do is accept the hand of you, your money, your car, your possessions. You look up, before you know it, you broke, or you in some lawsuit, or bankrupt, or whatever. First of all, that woman got to be settled. She got to be at peace. She got to have her own. She got to have something to bring to the table. If she ain't got nothing to bring to the table, you just taking care of her. You picking up where her daddy left off. So make sure she got something to bring to the table. Women, we got to be people that know how to hold down the fort. In the event that our men get sick or they can't do what they need to do, we got to have something at the table to be able to hold down the fort. That don't mean we supposed to masculize our men. That means we supposed to be able to step up when they are sick or when they can't do or whatever. That's where the submission comes from. Be a woman of value. Be a woman who knows her worth. But when you have a man, let him be a man. That's what a submission is. Us liberated women, us independent women, how we don't need no man because we know how to do it ourselves. We've gotten it ourselves. Want and need is two different things. If you want a man, then you got to take your independent and your liberated self, and you got to be able to know how to submit to that man and allow him to be that man. Now that submit ain't no stigma on that. That's just learning how to be a princess. Let that man take care of you. Let that man provide and do all that God called for him to do. Do all that God had for him or placed in his being for him to do, for what God created him to do. See, Adam messed up because Adam allowed the thing that he was supposed to feed to start feeding him. That was where he messed up. When you have a man that is sitting around playing PlayStation, watching the kids, and letting the woman go out there and do all the work and everything, have all the power, and he ain't no man. Not in that God created him to be. Now, if he's got a health condition or illness or some reason why he can't be out there and provide, that's something different. But even in that, you ain't supposed to make your man look like he ain't nothing. You supposed the Proverbs 31 says he's praised in the gates. So if he got a mental illness, if he got a physical illness or whatever, you're not gonna put your finger on that, point finger on that all the time, and you the one to wear the pants and you do all this and do all that. That's not of God. That's the reason why your life ain't been blessed. So a woman of worth, a woman of value, understands her role, understands her place. She understands that she was made and created in the image of God, just like he was. But she knows how to be the weaker vessel, as scripture says. And that don't mean that she's weak, because scripture says when we are weak, he is made strong. So she understands that. She allows him to open the door. She allows him to drive her around. She allows him to be the man, the hunter in him. She praises him. She helps him. And he feels good because he got a woman that he knows that God is back and God is front too. So he understands that if something were to happen to him, or if things were to go down, that she got her own and she can take care of, she can continue the legacy. Don't no man want a woman that he got to take care of like some infant, buy her everything because she can't get it herself. Like I said, the submission is in allowing a man to be a man, allowing the man to have provision or to provide. That don't mean he got to provide everything. Some things you can provide, but don't provide it in a way that it demasculines him. What you got to bring to the table. If you want a new dress, use your credit card. If he want to buy you a dress, allow him. He shouldn't have to go and get your hair and nails done. If he wants to do that, let him. But if he got to do that, like it's something that he's supposed to do, men get tired of that. Men want a woman that can take care of themselves. But will allow him to take care of her. It's nothing, like I said before, it's nothing that he has to do. He want to know that if something were to happen, that he wouldn't have to lose everything that he built or everything that he created simply because he can't function for a moment. He understands that he got a woman that's invested in him that can pick up the pieces when he falls. So I think I'm going to cut this one. I think I answered everything. Most important, like I say, is deliverance. Make sure that man is delivered. Make sure that woman is delivered. Because if they're not delivered, they ain't got no peace. And if you living with somebody that ain't got no peace, you ain't going to have no peace. There's going to be chaos. and confusion all the time. You should see the change in their countenance. I'm living in peace again. You know, like I say, my bills are paid up. I ain't hustling. I ain't looking or wanting for nothing. I got some projects I need to get done or whatever. Like I say, I ain't got time to look for no man. Really ain't got time to have no man right now, because I got all these projects and stuff on my plate. And if I was to have a man in my life, that would be disrespectful, because I be doing me. And he be sitting over there wondering what. You know, I couldn't be a helpmate to him because I'm too busy doing my own stuff. Now, God has a way. If he decides to put somebody in my life, it'll fit. Like jigsaw puzzle. It'll come together and make a beautiful picture. Y'all stay blessed.